the PlayStation 5 show did not have things that are in this blog post that I'm about to read to you. And a lot of it's really important stuff, which is including the pre-order details. And that actually came from Twitter. But the price of games, some things about the design. There's some really big stuff here that they didn't mention. So let's go through it. Like, honestly, let's just kick into it. But welcome to the channel, by the way, if it's your first time here. My name is Kibiji. I love the next gens. I love Nintendo. I love gaming. And I love to keep you informed about gaming, keep you hyped about stuff. So it's the first time here, or you've been watching the channel lately, why don't you consider subscribing? So anyways, on to the article. So this is the PlayStation blog, and it kind of goes over all the launch details, which right off the bats, I just want to say the base model being $499 and the digital model being $400, that just makes complete sense to me. And honestly shows, I was telling people that if they price their base model at $499, that's them being confident. You know, that's PlayStation being confident that, hey, this is the price of our system. This is what, you know, people are going to buy it no matter what, as long as we showcase great games. And that's exactly what PlayStation is doing, and they're doing it great. The $399 is something that I was not sure was going to happen, but was pretty confident was going to be. And that's going to be a really good middle ground against, you know, Xbox. Even though, have fun being a fanboy, there is no console war anymore. Everybody's doing very different things. But in terms of like just pricing, this is a really good middle ground, because keep in mind, while the Series S might be insanely cheap at $300, and that is still the lowest point, it is still also the weakest console. Yes, it is all digital, and yes, it can do great at 1080p and potentially 2K. We'll see about that, but it's not as powerful as this system and cannot do 4K and the things that the digital PS5 promises, including way faster memory movement and stuff like that. So this PS5 digital is going to be a really tempting buy for a few that's just willing to spend another $100 for those that are kind of like on the fence or just either or. But anyways, back to the article. So that's just my comments on that. I think those are totally like, it's interesting, and I love that Series X and the base PS5 are the same. I love that so much. And, you know, I think it's interesting. The digital thing is the most interesting to me. I won't talk about the games. That's potentially another video, so stick around. But the big thing I wanted to kind of hit here is, yes, we got release dates, by the way. That's also interesting. November 12th, just 2 days after Xbox in major markets, and then PlayStation 5 will be in the rest of the world, November 19th. However, something interesting that I read, where is this? But both models will be the same, which is interesting, but something pretty interesting here that obviously I understand why they didn't put this in the show. Our worldwide studio titles, their games, will be priced from US $50 to $70 on PS5. I repeat, worldwide studios titles, aka their exclusives, and from their first-party studios, will be $50 to $70. Now, if you've been paying attention to game news, this isn't necessarily news. There's some people that have already boasted, you know, hey, we get our PlayStation 5 or Series X version of our game for $70. And it's just interesting, though, to see that range. And I don't know, like, we're going to have more on that later, but I find that interesting that that's just boasted here and now. And also 50. You know, games, the standard price is $59.99, but here's the $49 to $69. So that range is kind of an interesting thing, in my opinion. But anyways, really big note, though. This is a big note. To me, this is probably one of the biggest notes here, if not the biggest. Additionally, we know that the PS4 community will transition to PS5 at different times, and we're happy to announce PS4 versions of some of our exclusives, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Sackboy Big Adventure, and Horizon Forbidden West, which is a 2021 title, will launch on PS4 as well. While these three games were designed to take advantages of PS5 and its unique next-gen features like the ultra high-speed SSD and DualSense controller, PS4 owners will be able to enjoy these experiences when they launch. The PS4 digital versions of the launch games include a free upgrade. They're basically saying here, like, if you get the digital version of the game, then you can upgrade for free as long as you go to the digital version of it on PS5. And same goes for if you have a disc, then make sure you have a disc version of PS5. But That's a very important note, because a lot of people were really dismissing how, Xbox is trying to be super pro-consumer and make their games for both of their systems, Xbox One and the Series. And that was a big deal to a lot of people, because they were like, oh, isn't the Xbox One S, especially the One S and the original Xbox One, going to hold those games back a lot? And that's true. They don't hold back the visual fidelity. They don't hold back the textures, the resolution, the look of the world, maybe some things, but the main thing designing for a previous gen system that's going to hold those games back is that SSD. That SSD and the CPU is super important. And that's why the Series S isn't holding back the Series X, because it has all those next gen things. But here, PlayStation is confirming that Miles Morales, Sackboy, and Forbidden West, which is a 2021 title, those will all be available on PlayStation 4 as well. That's a really big deal, because PlayStation's already been showing signs of starting to kind of mimic what Xbox is doing. Please, PlayStation fanboys, don't get super angry at me. Please be a fan, but be a very constructive and respectful fan. But it's just true. It's just like I said, when you have games that are released on the previous gen system, that means those games are going to be held back by the design. And that's exactly something that Xbox is doing. And it's funny to see that PlayStation is doing this as well, which is still PlayStation exclusive, which is still Xbox exclusive. Like they're basically both sort of doing the same thing, because Xbox kind of toned back. They have a few titles that they announced that are going to be Series X from the first party, and now PlayStation is upping. So it's like they're starting to become truly similar things. And I know it's going to trigger a lot of people, but that's just a really, really important note for people to know. What else do we got? So this was a big note. The PlayStation Plus members, they mentioned this during the show, that there's going to be something called the PlayStation Plus Collection. That was in the show, but now this is clarifying it. Basically is going to allow you to download, keyword download, a curated library of PS4 games that are classics like Arkham Knight and God of War, Monster World, Fallout 4, Persona 5, and that is probably the closest thing they have done to competing with Game Pass in terms of like cost. Everybody has different definitions of value, but in terms of cost, budgeting, and packaging, that is the closest they have come to trying to compete with that. So that's, and if that's just included, then that's amazing. If that's just PlayStation Plus and they're going to try to have a curated library that people can download, that is a competitive thing. So that's just a big note. But to me, that game design is the biggest note. Just a small note, these accessories, they list what each of the accessories are going to be priced, which is nice to know as well. I figured the controller would cost $70. I'm actually kind of surprised it's not $80, so that's really cool. The headset makes sense. These are really nicely priced, I have to say. Before we get to kind of this big note here, this HD camera being $60 with dual lenses, like, that's actually kind of tempting. I gotta be honest. I really wonder if that's backwards compatible with just any system. I'm sure it's not, because PlayStation accessories never work in anything else I plug them in. But if this is compatible with my computer, I might get a new camera for $60. Just saying, PlayStation, you'd get my money if you do that. But anyways, just to move onwards, the kind of another note about these games is that they are still saying these are all their first party games too. I thought this was going to be mostly because of their third parties, like what they would price their games. But these are decided by PlayStation. These are from their first party people. And we see a $70 for Demon's Souls. We see a $70 for Destruction All-Stars. We see $50 for Miles Morales. We see, this is interesting. I actually didn't notice this. This is a live reaction right here. Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. I didn't even notice that until I recorded here, so I wonder what that is. That one is $70, so we'll see what that is. Maybe it includes the base Spider-Man game. And Sackboy is $60. So it's just interesting to see all these various ranges for like Demon's Souls and All-Stars. Those are completely standalone. Maybe they feel like Miles Morales isn't a full game, and that's why they priced it at $50, but That's just kind of an interesting note. And it's also really cool to know, like out of nowhere, I don't know why they didn't say this in the show. If they did, I missed it. Demon's Souls is a launch day title. This is a really nice lineup. If these are all launch day games, that's awesome. Like, PlayStation just won in terms of the launch game category, because these are very promising. Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, which I think looks like a promising game, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Sackboy. If those are all launch day titles, that is really promising. But there's one other thing that we did not find out unless you are simply on Twitter, because PlayStation apparently didn't want to include this into the main show, but pre-orders go up tomorrow. Pre-orders go up freaking tomorrow, according to PlayStation's Twitter. Not their official page, but their Twitter. They say PlayStation 5 pre-orders will be available starting as early as tomorrow at select retailers. And a lot of them are probably allowing pre-orders tonight. So that's a big note. If you want to get a PlayStation 5, you got to pre-order that shit pronto. So I find that baffling that they didn't include that in their base presentation. So overall, I don't know, like the main thing that surprises me is that pre-orders were not in that presentation, not even just listed at the bottom. And kind of emphasizing launch day. Like, why wouldn't they just say, instead of holiday 2020, why not just have at launch or something like that at the end of all those trailers, specifically for the stream? I get it for like the trailer that you upload to YouTube, but why not in the stream just say like, this is coming out at launch, this is coming out at launch? Like, I don't know. But anyways, very interesting details, and really want to know what the heck you think of it all. And are you getting a PS5 base model or a digital? And what's your favorite launch game lineup on there? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And stay tuned for a lot more videos on Next Gen this week. Catch you then.